Over the last 2 months, I quietly helped a sales team over at a company called Bosso to automate over 60% of sales activities that they were doing manually otherwise. Be it list building, enrichments, company qualification, personalized email outreach, literally all of it. And the craziest part, we didn't have to break the bank on a bunch of old school sales tools like ZoomInfo or Cognism, and neither did we have to create tens of different AI agents inside of Make.com or NA10. We did all of it with just a $500 per month tech stack that realistically any startup or any agency could implement within just a week. Today, I'm going to break down how that exact system worked, where the biggest time savings came from, and how you can copy and paste and replicate this inside of your own sales, regardless if it's literally just you trying to generate a few leads on a monthly basis, or if it's a huge team of 20 sales reps. I honestly believe you'll learn a ton of new things, which you can implement right after watching the rest of this video. So let's jump right in, and to start with, I want to make sure that I break down my thought process into 3 main parts. The first part that I want to cover is what does a sales team typically spend a lot of their time on? And in my opinion, that's things like finding the right leads, qualifying those leads for outreach, then enrolling those leads in outreach via different channels like via email automation tools like SmartLead and via LinkedIn automation tools like HeyReach, for instance. And most of the time, if you're as good as you think you are at LinkedIn and email outreach, you will receive positive replies, which hopefully you would need to set up notifications for so that you don't miss the replies and so that you can instantly nurture the leads and give them a call as soon as they send you a positive reply to outreach. And more than that, after you build out those campaigns, it's super important to stay on top of the positive replies to make sure that as soon as the replies come in, you're notified and your sales team can ring them up or further research these prospects as soon as they reply to outreach. And on top of that, there is some unsexy stuff like email durability, which you 100% need to get right now because Google and Microsoft are cracking down on cold emailing, according to the cold email durability gurus that I listen to on LinkedIn. And assuming that the sales rep typically gets through all of these hurdles of finding the right accounts, finding the emails, finding the LinkedIn profiles, and so on, one day, and assuming that a sales rep gets through all of these tedious manual steps that we just talked about, like email durability, qualifying leads, finding leads, and so on, they will then have to take the sales call and close the deal with the prospect. And having done sales for the last 5 years, I can tell you for a fact, you can automate at least 60% of these sales activities. Needless to say, the lead generation part, which is the first part of the process, typically can be automated. Of course, the sales reps will still have to attend the sales calls. They will partake in creating the proposal and closing the sale, but we absolutely should be automating the lead generation process. And in my opinion, you only need a handful of tools in order to automate most of your sales process. Okay, so let's take a look. Which tools can automate over 60% of your sales tasks for you? Now, if we take a look at the number 1 most time-consuming activity for most sales reps during the lead generation process, it's typically finding the right lead. And let me be real with you, there are a lot of different tools on the market that enable you to find leads. Now, the challenge with a lot of tools like ZoomInfo and Cognism is that they're so expensive, they require annual plans, and the cost per lead and the cost per verified email is super high, meaning that the chances are you can probably buy it once for a couple of months, and then before you know it, you probably don't want to break the bank every single month to spend hundreds of dollars on getting the right lead. And then more than that, the biggest challenge that I personally face is if I was to use a tool like Apollo.io, for instance, or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it takes forever to filter through the database there, then have to push it into your email sequencing tool or your email automation tool, and that process is just super manual. That's why for this specific client of ours, we implemented SmartLead Smart Prospect. So in this case, all it is, in case you know, SmartLead is an email automation tool. Within it, on the left tab over here, you should be able to see that they have Smart Prospect. It's a database of over 300 million contacts. And the main reason that I absolutely love using Smart Prospect is because, as I mentioned, the database is inbuilt within the email automation tool. So within just a couple of seconds, I can type in the exact job titles, for instance, over here. So let's say if I'm looking for SDRs, I can filter for the industry. So let's say I'm looking for SDRs in the education field, if they exist, of course. And on top of that, I can apply some other filters, for instance, the headcount of the companies that they work for, the location of where they're based, and even entering other criteria for the business, like the revenue bracket of the company. And based on that, I will have all the leads right in front of me. And typically that means that within just a couple of seconds of you filtering inside of the email automation tool over here, you will find tens, hundreds, if not thousands of leads that match all of these criteria. And of course, naturally, the best part, the biggest upside of using this Smart Prospect feature over other platforms is the fact that all of these leads have been verified by SmartLead because they see millions of people send cold emails every single day. So we know that whenever we see these leads over here, all of their emails will be, first of all, up to date. Secondly, they're less likely to bounce. And then thirdly, on top of that, email verification is built within the Smart Lead platform. So that basically means that you can verify and find those emails instantly by just literally selecting all of the prospects here. So let's say we select the first 100 leads, we can click on apply selection, click on find emails, and then over here we can say find emails, use 100 credit, and within just seconds you will pull up all of the emails of all of these individuals that we were trying to find emails for. If we go back here for a second, not only is it a good database, the best thing is that it's built inside of an email automation tool. So naturally it means that you don't need to export this as a CSV too many times from Apollo into Smart Lead, into Clay, into other tools. All you can do is just centralize your lead list building inside of Smart Lead. Now, let me be real with you as well. Smart Lead has access to over 300 million contacts. And for that reason, the chances are you can probably find pretty much anyone with an email address inside of their database. However, if you're looking for a very niche audience, let's say you're looking for HVAC contractors in Colorado, and you have super specific qualification criteria for those businesses, sometimes you may want to choose some other data sources where you may want to source that data from. In this case, I personally suggest that you try out Clay GPT, and for context, it's a GPT that I spent the last year building for the students on my course. And essentially the way that it works is you just need to specify what type of business you're looking for. So let's say I can type in something like, I want to find HVAC contractors in Colorado, how? And straight away, within just a couple of seconds, it will tell you the best tool that you can use in order to pull this off. And in this case, it will reference Outscraper. First of all, it will take you to the Outscraper website. Secondly, it will then point you to a video showing you how to use that sales tool. And then thirdly, we'll offer you some free credits with the tool as well. And just for a bit of context, you use Outscraper most of the time for any sort of brick and mortar leads and local businesses, because typically you need to scrape them fresh, because sometimes those local businesses change, they close down and so on, and you always want to scrape them completely fresh without relying on any database. But it's very contextual. You can see I'm a big user of Outscraper. I've spent probably thousands of dollars with it in the past. And if you do use Outscraper for something like this, all you can do is just basically go into services, select use cases, lead generation, and then you can have the Google Maps data scraper, for instance. And over here, you can just select the type of business that you're looking for. So like a restaurant in the US in these specific state. And then after that, you can click on get data, and that will automatically trigger the scraping all of this data. And once again, I've got separate videos and all of that, but just to recap this step, it's super important for you to be able to find leads in a database. And the biggest time saving and the biggest automation behind this step is in the form of you just choosing the right tool and making sure that you don't have 10 different CSV files that you have to migrate from one platform to another all the time. So for that reason, I would recommend checking out Smart Lead, Smart Prospect. I know they're giving away, I think it's like 2,000 free credit and a 7-day free trial, so no excuses to not try it out. And that brings me really nicely to the next part, which is qualifying leads for outreach. Now, a lot of the time, let's say we look at this list over here right now. We found this list of sales development representatives that are all based out of the UK, and they all work in the education industry. But the chances are we want to further research them, we want to further qualify them. For that reason, typically I would export these leads. So I'll click on select this page, apply selection, and in the top right hand corner, I'll click on export as CSV. And inside of my Clay account, I'll just click on import CSV and I'll drag and drop the file. Now, the reason that I prefer using Clay to qualify leads for outreach is because for each individual lead, I like to research them and I like to make sure that each lead fits the criteria, that every single lead fits the ideal client profile of our client. So in this case, we can literally type in Claygent over here and we can use the AI web research and we can say something like this: visit this LinkedIn profile and tell me if the person fits the criteria. And then we can just copy and paste the criteria over here. And then we can say good fit if it fits the criteria, say bad fit if it doesn't fit the criteria. And based on this, we can always click on the generate button inside of Clay, and it's as simple as that, because Clay will help us to qualify those leads, and we can just copy and paste our criteria over here. And within just a couple of seconds, we'll have this mega prompt inside of Clay generate this qualification criteria for us. And if I just click on save and run 10 rows to just give you a quick example of how this would work, and we can see that literally within just a couple of seconds over here, some of the SDRs fit our qualification criteria, some of them don't. And regardless what database you use, you need to qualify those lead lists, because otherwise it would not be representative if you reach out to these 25 SDRs over here and only half of them are a good fit for your actual product or service. And typically 99% of the time, all you need to do in order to qualify the leads is use clay agents. And of course, since I don't have all the time in the world for this video, I will make sure to give away this exact whiteboard, which has all the hyperlinks to all the video, to all other free resources that explain to you how to use the Unlock Clay GPT, how to use clay agents, and all the other things that are referenced throughout this video. Now, after you qualify all of these leads, it's as simple as you clicking on actions and click on export CSV. If you're on the cheaper clay plan, and in that case, you can just download this CSV and import it back into Smart. Alternatively, if you want to push it into SmartLead native, all you need to do is just type in SmartLead inside of the clay account. And over here, you'll see the add leads to campaign step or enrichment in the top right hand corner. And then over here, you can then select the campaign that you want to add the leads. So that's typically the step that I take every single time in order to make sure that I qualify the lead. And then after that, we export them into Smart. This brings me nicely into the next part, which is the campaign creation process. What we can basically do is set up the campaign once so that going forward, you can top up the campaign every single time. So that next time, all you need to do is just drop a CSV file and that will trigger the running of the campaign. So in that case, all you would need to do is inside of your SmartLead account, click on email campaigns on the left side of your screen. Over here, click on create campaign in the top right hand corner. Give it a quick name. So I'll say Tim is the best over here. And you can now add some leads to this exact campaign by dragging and dropping the CSV file. And then you click on save. And here we are. We now need to map all the data. So like the first name, last name, and so on. And then just click on OK. As always, you can always verify those email addresses inside of SmartLead as well. So for that, you can just click on launch verification and proceed. That should be done really quickly. And over here, you can just use the curly brackets at the top of the screen here to customize your message using the custom variable. So if you click on save change to the bottom of the screen, and if you then click on preview, you can actually see what that message looks like for each individual lead that you're sending outreach. Now, if you want to add more emails to the campaign, all you need to do is on the left side of the panel, just click on add step, select whether it's an email that you want to be sending, or if it's a manual step that your sales team needs to take. And over here, you can click on email and make sure that they're spread out by 3 to 4 to 5 days, or however many days you think is sensible. Next up, we'll click on the setup button over here. We can select our sender accounts. For this, of course, I assume that you already bought some email inboxes. So here you just need to select your sender accounts. In this case, I'm just going to tick some boxes over here for some of the sender accounts and click on save email accounts over here. I can now click on the schedule campaign settings. So in this case, I can just select the right time zone to make sure that I'm sending the email to people in the time zone in which they live. Over here, I can always select the right time zone of where the recipient lives just to make sure that they receive the email in local time, and I can set the campaign start date, be it today or be it scheduled for random Sunday a couple of weeks from now, right? After that, I'm going to click on save, and the final thing I need to do is just set up some campaign settings. In this case, I recommend that you boost your deliverability by sending email in plain text without HTML. You can force plain text as content type as well. And just as a quick reminder, for those of you that may have missed it in other videos, never add any attachment or website links or anything of that sort, or images or videos inside of your actual email outreach copy. So never add that to emails. Always send it in plain text. Otherwise, you're more likely to trigger the spam filter. And then over here, we can tick the box for high bounce rates auto protection, set it to 5%, so that in case if over 5% of your emails bounce and don't land in the inbox, this campaign will be paused, and you can then consider re-verifying the leads before running the campaign all over again, because otherwise you will ruin your email reputation. And on top of that, you can enable domain level rate limiting. And then finally over here, we can click on save general settings at the bottom of the screen, click on save and next, and we should be able to see in the final review over here the email that we're sending out. And that's typically how we can then schedule the campaign. And next time, if we want to top up any more leads, all we need to do is head over into the campaign settings over here by clicking on the campaign, into import leads. You will drag and drop the file and it will automatically be added into this campaign. Now, another thing that's super important for sales teams to automate is positive reply notifications. So you get notified via email, via Slack, via WhatsApp, wherever you need to be nudged as soon as a prospect replies to you positive, because that's the best time to give them a phone call. It's the best time to reply to their positive reply, because otherwise, let's be real, they'll probably forget, ghost you forever, and still depressingly, you will probably have them on your pipeline, which will let you down quite a bit, because they will be way less likely to close if you don't respond to them fast to their positive reply in the first. Now for that, I'm not going to touch on this too much, but once again, I will reference a video over here of how you can set that up for yourself. But I will be giving away this entire scenario inside of make.com, so you can follow along and copy and paste it into your Make account. It will literally cost you $0 every single month to run this scenario alone. It's basically as simple as you receiving a positive reply on SmartLead that triggers the automatic categorization of that reply. That reply gets added to Google Sheets. you can also notify yourself or a member of the team about this positive reply instantly via Slack. So don't worry about it. All you need to do is just go and click on the top link down below, and it will take you straight to this board, which has all of these lovely videos and free resources that I spent hours putting together before this video. Now, one final thing that's super important is to make sure that your email durability is on point. If I had to only give you 4 pieces of advice when it comes to email durability, the first bit of advice would be to never send cold emails from your main email account. The chances are, as soon as you start sending more than 5 or 10 emails per, Google or Microsoft are very likely to detect this difference in email activity. Before you know it, your emails will be stuck in the junk, promotion, and spam folders, which is really depressing for that reason. Now, as a solution for this, if you have not thought about purchasing other mailboxes with other domains, I recommend you head over to the Smart Lead settings for email account on the left side of the panel over here. Click on Purchase Mailbox in the top right hand corner and just purchase some Smart Senders inboxes by clicking on Continue, and you can select between Google and Outlook inbox. The idea behind this is that you can scale your outreach to tens, hundreds, thousands of emails every single, depending on the number of inboxes that you choose to purchase. So once again, you can do that inside of Smart Lead here, and that's what we typically do with most of our clients right now. As the second bit of advice is, after you purchase those inboxes, I recommend that you go into the email account settings again, you click on Connect Mailbox, and at the very bottom over here, you can drag and drop a CSV file with your inboxes or connect any of your existing inboxes. And it's as simple as you just selecting those domains, clicking on Bulk Update. And essentially, the email warm-up process is the process of taking out emails from the junk, promotion, and spam folders and putting the emails into the main primary inbox. And that basically trains your email account to stop landing into spam. So all you need to do is over here, just make sure that your enable warm-up status is active, set it to 5 emails per day, tick this box over here that set the reply rate to 20%. You can also add over here a custom warm-up identifier tag, so you know that it's coming from Smart Leads in case if you're getting like a random warm-up email in your inbox. Send warm-up emails only on weekdays, because otherwise, you may be caught out. And then for the general settings over here, you can type in your signature. Once again, with the signature, don't do anything crazy. Just type in your first name, last name, and the job title and your company. And worth noting, never put any links, never put any sort of images or camera looking like email signatures, because that will just make sure that your emails land straight into the junk folder. And then after that, you can just click on save, and there we are. That will automatically start the warm-up process. Now, the third cold email durability tip that I have for you over here is that whenever you're in the final review stage of your campaign, you can always click on Run Spammed, and this will enable you to see how many spam words you're using in your cold outreach. Because if you're using, for example, $signs or the word off or something of that sort in your cold emails, you are destined for the spam folder. So once again, this makes sure that it notifies you if your email copy looks somewhat suspect. And finally, tip number 4 that I bet you were waiting for the last 15 minutes. It's very straightforward. Just make sure that you stay on top of your warm-up reputations for your inbox. You can see over here that I've not logged into this Smart Lead account because I have not done outbound campaigns for the last 2 or 3 weeks for my agency business, because we're getting so much inbound traffic. However, I noticed just now that my warm-up reputation dropped, and it will take at least 2 to 3 weeks to get it back up to 100%. So make sure that you're always monitoring your warm-up reputation. Just put a reminder in your calendar to at least check it once a month to make sure that your email thread is at least 90%, if not 100% preferably, before you do any sort of email out. And then finally, we made it this far. We already had a look at how you would go about building lists, qualifying lists, creating campaigns, setting up positive reply notifications, and making sure that your email durability is. And that brings me really nicely to my favorite part of the sales process, which is the actual selling. Now, if you want to get the script that I used to close over $500,000 in revenue, then by all means, you can get it inside of this board, which will be linked down below underneath the video. In the meantime, if you enjoyed the video, just promise to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below any random questions that you have about automating all of these tedious sales tasks. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video.